All right, game 8 of the grand finals is just starting to get cooking here. Battles that we know to look out for: Miro, Cooper at the drop, Baka, Pars at their drop, Cold and Acorn. Will the AI put themselves on a leaderboard again? I don't know. Let's find out here as we start to take on to the world. And does look like Baka and Pars have a lot, of course, to think about here.
Baka, Pars, half the lobby at their drop. Not actually, but still, getting triple contested is certainly not fun. As usual, though, it's going to be Chance, it's going to be Aaron. Actually, Chance and Aaron getting tagged up a little bit here. Immediate launch pad away. Baka with that Enforcer AR, still managing to collect. He actually gets the knock confirmation onto Chance. And with those shieldfish, Baka, Flowberry in hand as well. Still waiting, though. Doesn't want to challenge it just yet, given that Baka and Pars want to make sure they get some essential resources. Just off this first building here at the Reclaim Villa, Sandy Strip area. But definitely some solid accuracy.
Yeah, Baka is him. He hits the tag and just looks away. Like he knew he was going to hit the tag. He just looks away. He's like, yeah, I got that. And it's GG. Looking at the standings that they just gave us a little glimpse, this is looking like a top 10 or nothing at the moment tournament. I'm finding it extremely difficult now as teams that are from 11th and below, that they're going to have a chance to get into, you know, the top 3, because essentially these points are really starting to rack up right now. You're seeing the effects of a 1.5x multiplier essentially here on the day for all of your performances. But look at this, Baka and Pars go from one team directly into the next. They are not happy with the shots that came in just a moment ago, and they say, you know what, you're a little too close to us. They want to take that fight, but another squad jumps in. Now what is happening here? It just doesn't stop for Baka and Pars.
Again, I said it last match, but it's literally just never-ending box fights with these two. They drop in a spot where their intention is to try and contest the forecast tower that's east of the hills from Reclaim Villa. And so, as expected, Baka, Pars just having to fend off numerous teams that just insist on challenging these two. Nobody's seemingly convinced that Baka and Pars, they might have a lot of respect from players in NA, but respect isn't going to prevent people from trying to take you out in a grand format.
Ooh,
massive shots.
Beautiful tag. Hey, listen, you know, he's just peppering them, letting him know we're here. All right, you back off. Take a look at Snacky and Possessed. Some of these early game eliminations that they get to pick up. One on to Macwood. And I was going to say, don't tell me he's not going to get the points now. Now I'm just going to forever be wary of battles that happen on top of the NPCs on the map. Cold and Acorn starting off their game much slower than the last one here. Really just feeling out the fencing fields. But like we talked about, the amount of teams that land in this vicinity. You have Muzz and Paper who are trailing behind right now, but they're the team under the scopes right now.
And I don't blame Acorn and Cold for taking things so slow there at Fencing Fields. Seems they're a little bit more convinced that it's better to just wait. There's no waiting around, though, for Cooper and Miro. They want this exchange with Cam and Diminished, and they want it now. If they can find these eliminations quickly, it'll be a lot easier to handle things if a third-party situation does start to unfold. But Cam and Diminished seemingly a little bit better boxed up in terms of defending that forecast tower. Miro, Cooper, they recognize the fact that Cam and Diminished kind of beat them to the punch in terms of basing up around the forecast, but that doesn't mean that Miro and Cooper aren't still going to try to challenge them for those Legion tactical grunts. They want that forecast keycard. I can't fault them for it. Just so impactful when you know every single zone for the entirety of a lobby.
Oh my gosh.
Rise.
Little bit higher, and Rise rips that guy right out of this game and onto the battle bus. This is the difference for Rise and the Amzo right here. They have this center map just on lock, but let's take a look at Muzz and Paper, who have been jumped on by NPen. Okay, so their fencing fields contested teams goes in the way of Muzz and Paper right now as they finish off NPen and Aaron pretty quickly, I might add. As soon as we jump in, the battle is over. And yeah, look at all the extra heals here as well. So this is really, really important, because not only do they have the zone on top of them, now they have this excess amount of additional resources to play with for a second here. And they're going to give it up. They're going to say, all right, well, now we got time. Let's go ahead and cap off our material, come back.
Can maybe expect to see Muzz and Paper a little bit later on, more towards the combat cash exchange, because at fencing, it's one thing that they probably will have a little bit of struggles with, is getting metal from that POI. So the cash can certainly mitigate some of those woes. As Ritual, NPC spawn in for the forecast tower. And Ritual take him completely uncontested. But we saw in the last lobby that even if a team has that zone knowledge, it doesn't guarantee that they'll still be a duo by the time we get to some of our closing final zones.
Look at this. Cooper and Miro, very, very hesitant right now. They're like, we know we saw a duo here. Where did they go? And the AI are just walking around, right? The NPCs are walking away. So that's going to be everything they need to know at this point. And it just shows you that some teams are, yeah, they want, of course, the information from the forecast tower, but they're not willing to throw their tournament away, let alone take a potential clash with the team that has a heart to contest them at it. And they just give it up. That's, if anything, more of a surprise than I was expecting for how this is going to play out.
Definitely had anticipated Cam and Aminish to duke things out a little bit further there with Miro and Cooper, but they probably know something we don't, and for them to back off in the manner that they did, likely just a circumstance where they felt they needed to prioritize getting some surge damage online and didn't want to risk finding themselves being elimed, because these players, a lot of them tend to do tons of creative, tons of box fights against each other. Cold Acorn found the perfect time to strike up against the likes of Vanillas and Convic. Convic and Vanillas, though, will manage to fall back. This is sneaky, though, from Cold and Acorn, just waiting directly outside of the vault here at Fencing Fields to see if anybody might be trying to scurry in, grab some leftovers. But Cold and Acorn, they've got to make their exit eventually. Although they do seem rather content for the time being to kind of just wait things out and really just soup up their weapons off the mod bench.
And I think it's like really worth mentioning the fact that they are absolutely baiting these wood walls. Like, they know exactly what they're doing. This is intentional. Cold and Acorn know better than to sit around in a wood base, right? That's not a base set up for defense. So they were on offense that entire time, whether it kind of realized it or not. And it's the little things, right, that give players the advantage. But now we jump in with this team here, Crackley and Mr. Forever Zone Wars, as we all know. It's a little community homage here.
I'm almost surprised that this guy isn't just like contesting Jiven with that kind of name every single game, but I guess everybody's got their own favorite bowl of cereal that they like to go for. And for Forever Zone Wars, came up short there, and now things getting seemingly worse as they've caught the attention of Acorn and Cold. A couple of shots exchanged onto Crackley.
The wait, Taco. Epic's down.
He definitely is. For a moment there, thought that Clix was gonna see if he could try to find some semblance of a recovery, but no, Clix just completely pushed out and being held currently by Oliver OG and Asian Jeff.
I feel like this is a mental thing right now. Epic Whale just fell off of high ground and cost them game number 7, the Victory Royale. And he's starting game number 8 off to a, you know, arguably bad start. Like, this is This is just a compounding situation right now. We need to see him get right back in the zone. There's no time to waste here. It's a 1.5x type day, but hold up. I just see Reet cranking, and I think to myself, I need to watch this battle. So already getting fully cut up here, Ritual finds himself on the high ground, trying to look down. I see Aviv, I see Booga, and I see another team here in the mix. And already everyone battling for this little bit of high ground. Look at the size of the structure here. This has not been a clean fight by any means. Reet down to one big pot shows that he's been tagged several amount of times already. And it's just an all-out scrappy fight here. And not only that, there's another team just starting to decide of whether or not they want to jump in here.
Have a feeling it was Yumi and Vert that were actually first situated here at the Stormy Station. Reet and Ritual probably initially feeling out that they were going to be able to find a possible box fight, possible couple of eliminations, or just getting some good surge damage online. But with Booga and Aviv now entering the mix here, MDF have to expect that these teams are just going to fall back for the time being. Nobody wants to find themselves on the victim side of a third-party encounter. And Clicks, all the while, just doing everything he can to try and survive as a solo, try and see if he can make his way to a reboot van. But with Cam and Diminish directly in front of him, grappling out, beautiful shot there out of Clicks. That sniper shot might be all it takes. He's got his surge damage. Now it's a full beeline sprint towards the reboot van and just hoping that they've got enough damage out there that'll make things a little bit easier when he starts to venture back towards the zone, ideally with Epic next to him.
Yeah, you can see that the team there was about to push Clicks, and then something turned around, something made them make a different decision. They double back off of a knocked body, so it does seem like, you know, things just align right now for Clicks here to actually give him an opportunity to extend this tournament run right now. And it's not going to be any easier, though. The time used, the time wasted, the materials, you know, invested, all of this stuff will start to compound. It'll begin to add up, and Clicks is going to have to live with the decision of whether or not this is worth it this late into the stages of the early game, because we're getting right to the mid game here. For some, it might be impossible to actually bounce back from, but you can't count out someone like Clicks, who seems to be determined here. For Peterbot and Boyo, now we jump in. They're absolutely situated here, fully set up. Doesn't seem like they've gotten the chance to engage with anyone just yet, and that just tells me that whoever's next to them is going to be in for a world of trouble, and it's Cooper and Miro who might be the first targets. Taco, they have max material, they have max what seems like heals and ammunition. I'm thinking they don't have enough surge. I'm thinking they will just have to face check Cooper and Miro here shortly.
Peterbot and Poyo have definitely had their fair share of problems as far as that surge damage threshold is concerned, but whether or not they want to tango with Cooper and Miro, only time will tell. As Ritual, they do have zone knowledge, but they want more damage, they want more points. Elimination is going to be one of the easiest ways to find them, as Zooks just trying to do his best to scurry away from Reet here, but Reet actually does lose Ritual in the process. Pretty massive blow here. Now for Reet, he has to commit.
He pickaxed him down, but no, then gets found out by Bolt and then gets pickaxed back. It seems like, what just happened? It was looking so good for a second for Reet and Ritual, and everything turns upside down. We are seeing the collapse, the downfall now of team after team, top teams as well. Last game, Reet had to put everything on his back, and it might be Ritual who's having a tough time here as far as that duo's performance is concerned. Just like it might be Epic Whale who's having a tougher time with his performance right now. So it's crazy to see how, you know, a duo really does come down to both players being in peak performance. Can't be one or the other.
But for Reet and Ritual, and being a team that gets an uncontested, confirmed forecast tower every single match, for them to be so low on surge that they feel the necessity to go for those desperation box fights, and they're on fringe of zone from that position as well, by the way. Not even sure if they had been successful with eliminating Bolts and Zooks there, that it would have even been a super lucrative engagement, because sure, you would have gotten the Surge, but then you're being held. We saw other teams from across the hill in positions of elevation inside of zone that have all the luxury of just taking free pot shots. So even if Ritual and Reet had managed to pull off the double elimination there, the way they would have likely been held on edge of zone, even with future zone knowledge, just seems as though a lot of their early game is being heavily dictated by the fact that they aren't contested at their drop, because they have been struggling for surge damage in Game 7 and now 8 here today.
And it's not just that, that's the exact same issue they were having yesterday. When you looked at and compared the teams that had the forecast tower knowledge and the information, those teams were positioning intentionally like in the best spots possible, right, to favor the next zone. But you did notice that Reet and Ritual were consistently being on the edges, and it was most noticeable in that game where Miro and Cooper just so happened to pick it up. And I remember commentating about it because I was surprised. I'm like, look at how out of position Reet and Ritual are for a team that has the information, right? But then on the other side, Cooper and Miro set up with like max mats, all the ammunition, right, the heals. It was just like two completely different stories.
Either way, they definitely want to get themselves sorted on the same page. They've got to do it soon, because the leaderboard's not going to wait for you, especially not with that 1.5 times point multiplier in effect. Keep in mind, it applies to all points, not just eliminations. So sure, eliminations bumped up to 6 points each today, but so is placements. And Victor Royale netting 100 points is a very quick way to either lose or gain positioning on that leaderboard.
They just singled out a team all the way on the edge, and they're going right in for it because they need the surge tags. This is like unironic. This is like actually ironic, because I was just talking about when they have the forecast tower, they position themselves so well, and we haven't seen a worse decision to jump outside the base with less surge possible. I feel like I just cast their curse, Miro and Cooper, so bad. That's a crazy play to make.
Look, the crash pad rotate might be
how did that
silent.
just all just line up? Like, I don't even know.
Everyone was looking at Cooper and Miro the moment that they entered the air. Yamzo rise, Edgy Tavern though getting pieced up across the river. Cooper, Miro though, on the other hand, they're gonna actually find themselves falling, eliminated by Wick and Somzi, the team that they had initially planned to pounce upon, now being the ones to eliminate them. And I was just gonna say, Death as well. Clutch solo performance there for a moment, does manage to secure
I was
at
gonna
least
say,
2 eliminations.
it's worth mentioning, Death and Polarize are up at the top of the standings after that last Victor Royale. Really put them in the conversation, and this is an incredible clutch right here to not only fight back the duo that jumped on them, but survive the onslaught that was the server lobby's focus there. And it seems like everyone was content after those first set of eliminations went through. So it just seems like most of the players on the edge needed just a couple tags, right? Normally, you'll notice players won't get, greedy for it, but you just compare that to what Cooper and Miro did. It was complete greed there, jumping in, and they couldn't have timed it worse.
Halfway greed, halfway a definite necessity, though, given that they were below on their surge, probably recognizing the fact that none of the other teams that were based up on the other side of that river were going to be willing to peak anytime soon. Impressively enough, though, Clix and Epic, it's been an uphill battle the entire time here in Game 8. And we're seeing the dynamic now between a duo and a solo. Death doing his best to continue clutching things up here for himself and Polarize, especially when you find yourself starting off the day with a Victor Royale here in match 7. Death just wants to keep making a play for placements. He's got at least 2 medkits, so he can definitely bide his time a decent ways. He's gonna probably commit to sticking towards this backside of the zone. He'll get the audio cues from teams as they start using the grapple blades forward, and with this Reaper Sniper, if he can manage to connect even 1 or 2 shots, that should be enough surge for Death to just continue maintaining this low ground position and just trying to stay out of sight, out of mind from the rest of the lobby.
Definitely tough situation to be in, but look at this, the Yamzo and Rise right now. like you said, position, nestled, right? Comfortably at the moment. Have this huge runway in front of them, and you have to think if Acorn and Cold can't keep up their exceptional run so far, it's going to be pretty tough. But I think the moral of the story right now is, you know, regardless of what's going on, you can have all the information in the world with the, you know, the forecast towers. It's not easy by any means, especially given the server intensity. Hold up, take a look here. Clix and Epic are right back in the game now with that elimination there onto Vanillas. That's going to give them not only material, but all of the loadout preference required for Epic Whale to really be comfortable here. And there it is, extra shields, excess med kits now. They will need probably a couple more tags here to go ahead and take the lead. Get a glimpse at Aviv right here. He's got Jivin on the outskirts of the zone. They're at 4 elims.
Aviv and Bugha have certainly been making work of holding teams on edge of zone. But this next max pool gonna be a little bit more complicated, as Aviv, Bugha recognizing the fact that there's nobody else left to shoot at, and there's still even 4 elims, barely 20 above the surge damage threshold here. Yamzo, Rise, our #1 team currently in a massive fight against this Storm Surge as well. You can see Rise looking for opportunities to peek. The other issue that these two might encounter is when teams start to rotate, they want to be able to take shots, but they've got to worry about not getting caught up healing at the same time, or else they might miss those opportunities to get those much needed tags online.
Take a look at the move right here. Off they go. 440 points now. The placement points are going to start to rack in, but just 15 damage above. They will have to land on the team as well. Aviv and Bugha are desperate for something, but there's no life. Nothing there for them. No lifeline to pick up. It's Redux who makes the comeback here. Day and Redux are just having quite the first 2 games so far, as they are opening themselves up to another potential end game here. Meanwhile, Cold and Acorn are also on the tear. Doing well, 2 eliminations here, still sitting pretty strong. Oh no, they singled out the young New York City's prodigy. Death here, who's back against the wall now, forced down into this ultimate low territory. Not ideal position to be in by any means, and look, he's starting to run thin on material here.
But again, with these 2 med kits, he could potentially hold Acorn and Cold at bay. There is a cache next to Death as well, so he might have an opportunity here to come up big, but it's just going to depend on Acorn and Cold.
Yeah, he's just going to give this up. He's like, you know what? I don't want to be here. I need to get up this low ground. I need to get away from the surge or the storm here. And then he has to deal with this surge here as well. He's going to swing around, picks up some of that cash. Oh, he does secure some loot.
Acorn and Cold leaving made that a possibility for Death, so he was able to hold out just long enough. Now, utilizing this med kit, but Yamzo, Rise, saw them at the top. Now Yamzo stuck at the bottom here as he gets knocked. Rise is going to keep things moving forward. Pretty aggressive rotation there from Rise as well, cutting directly through the center with that grapple. It's incredible that it's only Yamzo that falls for the time being, but Cold, Acorn looking to shake things up even further. 1 more elimination being added to the count. That's going to be onto Chris Spear. And Death still hanging on.
Not only that, Clix and Epic Whale are actually on high ground right now. I can't believe they're trying to play as a high ground team in this very difficult meta with grapple hooks in place. That's insane, but look at this. Death almost, literally almost ends Cold and Acorn's run right there. But he only clips him with a body tag and not a full-on headshot. And then he gets spotted out by a friend of his from Prodigy there too. But look at this, Peterbot goes for high ground. Clix and Epic Whale now has to fight for it. Down goes Boyle. Wow. And Clix is playing so well. But the Storm is relentless. The damage comes in, and no, he doesn't see the team lurking next door. And now it's up to Epic Whale here to make up for the last game.
But Epic, he only has, actually, he's completely out of materials, but Rise is completely out of his own life. An elimination and well-placed shot there. Now, Peterbot operating as a solo because of Clicks and Epic Will taking out his teammate. Peterbot, final medkit has been expended, but take a look at the high ground. It has swapped around. Dasharoonie and Seek now way up above the rest of the lobby. Baka and Pars, on the other hand, we've seen these two be warriors of the lobby and still standing tall here. Stinks transition into the final moving zone. Baka, Pars, they want to make sure that they stay tarping through these mid-ground layers. Height, you have to expect they're going to look to chop it sometime soon, but that's only if Peterbot can even work his way up there. Zooks
gets delivered right into the hands of Baka and Pars, though, as they start to turn up here. 7 eliminations and still counting, but they're out of material now. Can they find, what did they just pick up there? Hopefully it was something to do with mats there. Zeus is on the heels here. Baka and Pars, if they don't quickly finish this elimination, the pressure from up above is gonna start to catch up. Here comes the counter shots. There goes the wood builds, but metal starts to come out here. They still have a chance here. Anything can absolutely happen right now. Dash and Seek are just in the game with some material, but it seems like they're indecisive of how exactly they want to execute here, but it's going to be all or nothing. And I like that they're holding back here. If they jump in, it might just be the end of them. One goes down, and now they have the advantage, but Pars, too soon, too early, goes back for the heal off. I don't think he's going to have enough medkits to survive the storm here. But at this rate, who knows? I'm wrong. He's got 5.
Wait,
and
but he's
storm
got
sickness.
It looked so promising until it wasn't. Seek and Dasharoonie probably counting their lucky stars, because the moment that they watch this one back, MDF, and they see Pars running around 5 medkits in hand, they definitely find themselves a little bit more on the fortunate side of things here in game number 8, but a win's a win. And to start the day off, game number 7 didn't exactly pan out for them, but game number 8, they definitely found the points they wanted.
That had to be storm sickness, right? Like, he had 5 medkits. I think he had enough time. It should have lasted likely a little longer, but you know what? Ultimately, Seek and Dash get a victory royale under the 1.5x point multiplier, which is going to give them a huge opportunity to get up into some new prizing brackets, if anything at all. So getting a win during a grand finals weekend is absolutely impressive.
And it's crazy too, because they really slid in at the last moment and just played spoiler to the teams that were trying to tackle height. But we didn't get to follow along with Zeke and Dasharoonie the entire time, but you know who might have? It's the analysts. So Zeke, we'll get it back to you guys.